Welcome to a history of saps, blackjacks, and slungshots. Here's an antique one. It's one of my favorites in my collection, and it's pretty unusual, at least a little bit. I acquired this from a guy whose father was a police officer in South Texas and ended up confiscating a ton of blackjacks and saps, and this was the neatest one, I thought. And this one is a great indication of how much variety there was in the construction because, they weren't all made by big corporations like Buckheimer or Smith & Wesson. This, by the way, I'm sorry, like circa 1950s. It's just up to individual makers. We can be really confident that this one was used and carried for a long time. I don't mean used as in hitting someone, although some of the stains on it would lead you to believe that probably was. Yikes. But anyway, the confidence that this was not just something that sat in a shoebox forever or a closet comes from, how it was originally obtained, all right, by a policeman on the street, in the possession of someone he was arresting, and, of course, by the just nice weathered look it has. The two distinctive features here are, of course, the thick braided leather and the long, kind of stylish lanyard, which I really like. The tan blackjack with a brown lanyard also looks really cool, I think. The lanyard has that two-tail kind of shape, and it just looks really cool. The knot that appears above that, you'll see that later, just the whole thing. Overall, I think this is a jack that definitely would have impressed your friends back in the day. And there's the noteworthy leather that I talked about. Like I said, it's really thick and a little bit hard, and I don't think that's just from age. So this thing probably would have been quite nasty in its effects. The leather here is so thick that it actually forms like ridges, which you can imagine what effect that would have on skin. Now, just as far as peculiarities, you'll notice this kind of trench there running alongside of it, and that there was one on the other side corresponding, so just this result of the braiding process. Speaking of unusual features, notice that kind of peg sticking out the bottom, the butt end there. I can't tell what it is. I don't think it's wood, and I've never seen one like that. It's not metal, though, I can tell you that. This also gives you a good view of the retention system, right? It's got the kind of semi-standard loop there coming out of the body, and then the lanyard running through that. So here it is. It's a pretty standard sized jack, as you can see. Standard size weight too. It's just, roughly half a pound, maybe a little bit more. And if I grab it there, I'm not getting much torque, but putting that bulky bottom section there just feels great in your hand, gives you a lot more torque, and yes, that hurts a lot. Why do I keep doing that? I would describe the flexibility of this jack as standard, right? It's not like noteworthy in how floppy it is, and it's definitely not a stiff blackjack either. So there's the lanyard, right? Real standard retention system, and it's so big I can just use it like that, of course, and like we've talked about in other videos, I can also wrap it around, kind of a roll grip, and it's going to be hard to lose hold of this way. I should also mention the leather on this one, having those ridges as it does and kind of rising up, gives a great grip, very secure grip. So here I'm resting the jack against the curtain, and here's how the top-heavy, wobbly nature of a blackjack makes it so potent in a small space. Speaking of fighting applications, I wanted to show kind of a new one. Here, the back of your hand there, that's a vulnerable spot, actually. So you can kind of flick a back fist out and hit it, or with an extended knuckle strike, whatever you want, and it's effective. So you could just flick that blackjack out if it's in your lead hand, and make contact with the back of the hand, which many people kind of naturally point towards their enemy. And it hurt, but it also was just flat out scary to just even lightly tap the back of my hand with the head of the blackjack like that. And you can see where that's facilitated by the nature of the jack, right? The way that it can whip out and back, generate power in a small space, and how it's a force multiplier. You just do a wrist flick, but it results in a crushing blow. Well, that's it for this one. As far as it being in my collection, I call it the Scorpion. I have no idea why. I just do. It's a rough and ready and stylish configuration. Thanks.